Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Zach Shomler. This is Desperately Dating, the Desperately Dating Podcast, Episode 6. I am joined by my wonderful and wise stepmom, Karyn. Hello.
Hello.
I'm so excited for two reasons. Number one, I love doing this show, and I'm so glad to not be on camera. People have no fucking idea how hard Strong Opinion Sports is when I'm filming this shit, and I got to look good. And
yeah.
I look ugly today. It's great.
You look good.
Oh, of course. I'm an attractive young man. Believe me, of course. But it's nice to not have to worry about the camera. And number two, this episode's awesome because it's all about healthy dating and the skills it takes. And really the idea is the fact that healthy dating is a skill that needs to be developed. This is a topic near and dear to my heart. Probably one of the ones I'm most passionate about. Of the ones we talked about, actually. Sorry for my language. Excuse my French. Don't care. I hate when I see people I know get married to the first person they've ever dated. I look at that and I go, good luck. Your first ever relationship. You get I see, and often I know a lot of people. I'm 22, almost 23. I've seen so many of my friends get married and divorced in the last 4 years since graduating high school. Like the first relationship, really serious. 2 years in, it fails, and they rushed it, and they didn't understand that part of the process of healthy dating is practice. And I think failed relationships are so important because they're a process and they're lessons. And if you learn from them, you can get better. But dating to me is a lot like building skills in football or building skills in sports or violin or whatever the hell you do. It's a skill that you can develop through practice. And the way you practice, unfortunately sometimes, because people get hurt in the process, but it is valuable, is through dating and through going through relationships. And having failed relationships is actually incredibly valuable. I know I've gone this long monologue to start the podcast, but the point is to say that if you break up with someone and you have a failed relationship, it's not necessarily a loss. It's a gigantic lesson you can learn from. And I really believe this, it's a necessary part of the process to become a healthy dater.
I completely agree with what you just said. I think that's an excellent point. And, it kind of harkens back to what we were talking about in the last episode about the value of introspection. I think there's a lot to be learned from past relationships. And if you don't take the time to look at that, you're going to just keep making the same mistakes over and over. You hear about how women are always dating bad guys or bad boys or whatever, whatever. It's like, well, maybe if you spend a little time kind of looking into that a little bit, you'd figure out that that's not such a great way to go.
Yeah. Here's a question. That was an intense monologue. Was it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think people can hear? Do you get the point? Do people understand where I was going with that?
I think so.
Yeah. Cool. I think so. I'm going to leave this in. I'm just curious. My fear is that people get lost in the fact that practice is good and healthy. And I think you and I both went through a lot to get to where we are today, right? And that's okay. That's valuable.
I think sometimes people hang on to relationships too a little bit desperately.
Yeah.
Like they so want it to work. They want to get to that end zone, to where they have that peaceful relationship that they're willing to overlook a lot of things.
Yeah. I was talking with someone and the point we were like, the long-term goal is to get married, right? That's why that's the direction you want to head towards, I guess. That's at least
it's not for everyone, but you want a satisfying relationship.
That's the direction I want to head towards is eventually get married, but also damn, there's a long way to get there, and enjoy the process. Enjoy
absolutely
the dating.
Yeah.
Enjoy what's the hurry, especially people my age at 22. Feels like everyone's in a hurry and I've even been this way in my past relationships, we got to get to this goal. And there's not a goal. The goal is actually to enjoy it.
Right.
Enjoy the process.
And I think that's where when people that are desperately dating, they kind of miss that boat and they are just so focused on that goal of a relationship that they believe that there's something magic about it, that it's fast, that there's some secret that they are just missing.
Yeah.
That if they just know that, then they'll, all of a sudden magically be able to find the right partner. And that's just not the way it works.
There are two things, man. When people break up with someone and they can't tell you why it ended, it's scary.
Whoa, that's a huge one. Yeah.
Well, hello.
Yeah.
or if they just blame, it's all that person.
Yeah.
It's huge. Mike McCarthy got fired recently by the Green Bay. Oh, not recently. Last year in 2018, got fired by the Green Bay Packers. And this is sports. I know this.
That's okay.
I love to find analogies, man. And he, for the next year, didn't go back into coaching. A lot of coaches will get fired and then immediately go find the next job and jump right into it. Chip Kelly did this once. He went from the Eagles to the 49ers, and after 1 year with the 49ers, so he jumped from the Eagles, got fired. The next year went to the 49ers and got fired after 1 season with the 49ers because he never took the time to gather himself.
Yeah, to figure out his shit.
Mike McCarthy got fired by the Packers, took a year off, watched a ton of film, organized his notes, met with coaches, got prepared for the next opportunity. And when you go, to me, it was like such a great analogy with a breakup. When you go through a breakup, journal, get your shit together, organize your notes, figure out what the fuck you're doing, and then you're prepared for the next opportunity when it arises. But don't just jump right into something. It's so huge. The part of that process of learning the skill is you need to do introspection and do that thought process to get the skills you need to get better at. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's huge. I really like the analogy with Mike McCarthy, taking the time to look inward.
Yeah, and to kind of reflect back over that experience that he had and figure out, what he could take from that and what he could lose from that, And I think that's the same wisdom that we could learn from our failed relationships.
And it's not magic.
It's not magic. There's no luck. It just really takes practice and, I'd say a measure of patience. You can't just make it happen overnight just because you want it now.
Yeah, the core theme of Desperately Dating, this whole podcast, is people date impatiently. People date. A goal-oriented dating isn't necessarily healthy, I don't think.
No, I think it's okay to, know what your hope is. Like you hope to be married one day.
Oh, yeah.
And I had that same one. I was also at peace if it didn't ever happen.
Yeah.
But I think you need to hold that somewhat loosely.
Yeah.
And just sort of be hoping, but also be enjoying your life right now too, exactly where you are right now.
One of the things you talked about in the last episode, in episode 5, was you told a story. Maybe it was episode 4, but you told a story about how there was a step in your journey where you were with somebody that you weren't going to marry. You called him Mr. Right for right now.
Yeah. Mr. Right now.
Talk about that.
Well, I guess I decided just to give myself permission to take a break from dating so that I wouldn't maybe feel just like so desperate, because it does get a little bit discouraging when you go on a shit ton of first dates, and never feel like you're never meeting somebody that's a really great, prospect.
Yeah.
So the concept of being all right with Mr. Right Now helped me because I felt like I could just kind of take a break and get off that merry-go-round for a little bit and still get some of that need met, which I think is a valid human need.
Yeah.
For companionship, for adult interaction, sex, all of it, it's you need that.
It's not often talked about enough though that not every relationship you're in needs to be with the goal to get married.
Absolutely.
That relationship for you is a break, some brevity from all that to go, hey, I just want companionship. Maybe I want to get laid, and I can do that.
Yep.
Like
no
friends
pressure.
with benefits, or even friends with just where you can date and not have this goal to hook up, or this goal to get married. Excuse me.
Yes. I agree.
And it's
as long as both parties recognize that, and
yeah, you have to be
you're
upfront.
above board.
Don't
about
lead
that.
people on.
Don't
man.
lead people on. Yeah, and be kind
clear.
about it. I'd say be kind about it, and that's something that I don't know if I made that point too, but I guess it's fine here. When you're going on a lot of dates, because I really do believe it's a numbers game. You meet enough people, eventually you're going to find somebody that fits, right?
Yeah.
But be kind. I mentioned to you that I saw one of the healthy parts of dating is being ruthless, and you're like, ooh, what does she mean by that? And that's what I mean. It's like you go on a first date with someone and you're not feeling it, don't go on a second one. Don't waste your time. But that being said, don't be a jerk about it. You can be kind and just say, I'm not feeling it or whatever. But I would say being ruthless is a good skill to learn when you're dating.
I was on a first date one time with somebody, and I tried to navigate it as nicely as I could, but it wasn't working.
No.
I was like, and just halfway through the date, like what would have been with other people halfway through the date for me was the end. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go home. I really want to go do my homework. I hope you have a great night. I'm just not feeling this, and it meant no offense. I was like, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
And having that was a big step in my life where I was like, oh fuck, like I don't need to waste time or force myself to be with whatever. Like if it's not working for me, it's not working for me, and I can just step away.
Yeah, and I think the less you invest, the easier it is to let go. So just a first date, just treat it like, we're just checking it out, see if there's anything here, any potential.
Well, that's why when you're on online dating services or Instagram or Tinder or whatever, like, don't get. I think the talking for 2 weeks before you meet is so dangerous.
Yes, it is.
And you talked about this. Is like
you're
get so
invested.
invested.
Yeah.
and then it doesn't work, and you're devastated when you meet the person. So like when I talk to someone online, like on Tinder, for example, very, very quickly, like within the first couple paragraphs, I try to get to, hey, let's meet up. Let's go. I don't want to get to know you over text. I want to get to know you over coffee or over a drink. Let's talk face to face. That's huge.
It is. I agree.
So that was your story about Ruthless. Is be okay to
say no. Like, don't stick around, with somebody that you're not feeling.
You don't owe them anything.
You owe them nothing. Yeah. Although you do, I think, owe them to be kind, and how you say, just politely, if they ask you for a second date and you're not interested, just say no. Just say no. Be ruthless. If they, anything feels off.
Yeah, we touched on this in the last episode. I don't know why I have it in my notes for this episode, but I do want to mention it in case it's huge. Is like part of the skill is learning to just like enjoy it. And if in the first 6 months of your relationship, if it's not peaceful and easy, that's a huge red flag. That's part of being willing to say no. Like if there's this hot, heavy drama and emotion and this and that, and it's like a roller coaster, that may not be healthy.
It's not going to get any better either, is the thing.
Yeah, you're 6 months in, like you're in the first 6 months of dating someone, and it's already there. That's a giant red flag to me. And you got to be willing to say, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm done.
Like I'm thinking about your mashed potato analogy.
Yeah, like with the mashed potatoes. If you listen to the previous episodes, I've told the story twice. I'm not doing it again.
Oh, come on.
Like I had this one innocent critique of the mashed potatoes, and it just made her cry and upset and this and that.
And it wasn't mean.
It wasn't intended to be
helpful.
mean. But who knows what was going on in her day? And it was an example of where the state in our relationship was. I didn't even feel safe anymore to talk about mashed potatoes.
So how are you going to talk about like parenting or something like that down the line? Something that's really hard.
Yeah, and if every time you try to have a harder conversation and it's breaks down into crying and tears and this and that, that's not healthy. That's not a good place.
Yeah, that's running over some stop signs right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I want to give credit to my ex-girlfriend. She had the presence of mind and the wisdom to realize we were running over stop signs and go, hey, Zach, you're awesome. This isn't working. I actually really, in hindsight, respect her for going, hey, I love you. You're my best friend. This is not healthy. And I do, in some terms, like reflect on that and go, I really respect you for understanding this needed to end. Because I wasn't ready for it to end, but it needed to.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about the idea of dating as a skill? If I can beat you over the head with this thing, don't be afraid to date people. Don't be afraid to have failed relationships. Go on dates. Go experience things. Go learn. Actually, here's one thing that is a giant part of my process to get to where I am today. And not everybody needs it. I recognize that. For me, though, I needed to hook up. I needed to have, I played quarterback in high school. I think I'm pretty attractive as a young guy. I have good energy. And I was like, man, I feel like I could do some damage out there in the world.
Yeah.
And, I had to know. I had this thing in the back of my head, like, if I enter the world of hooking up and use Tinder that way, how is it going to go? And I had to answer that question for myself. And if that's a thing that you deep down, you have fear of missing out and you want to know, this is why it's so dangerous when people marry the first person they've ever dated, is they have one experience with one person and they're never going to know what it's like to be with other people. And for some people, like, to each their own, if that's all you need to know, great. But for me, I knew I needed multiple experiences with a lot of people to figure out what I want. And now I know. I got it out of my system. This isn't what I want. But having all those experiences gave me the peace of mind to know, oh, now I'm ready for something serious. I've already been there, done that. Now I'm ready to move on and have a serious relationship. But that hooking up was valuable. And no one ever says that. Like, for me, it is very important.
Well, it was about learning about yourself, which is never a bad idea, I think.
Yeah.
I went through kind of a similar thing at 2 different points in my life, so I guess I had to do it twice to really learn the lesson.
Yeah.
But
and by the way, do it safely, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Please
that goes
be
without
safe.
saying. But yeah, when I was in college, I was like, I don't think this is me, but I'm going to try having a one-night stand and see how it feels. Yeah. And I did, and I was like, yeah, it's not for me. And so
you answered that question.
But I answered that question, and I didn't think there's any shame in trying stuff on because you don't know if it fits unless you try it, in some ways. I guess there are probably some things that's probably best not to try, like maybe heroin. But anyway.
No meth. Don't try meth.
Yeah, exactly. But then, I tried that again, too, to be honest. When I was in my desperately dating phase, after my divorce, I met up with this guy who was kind of fun, and he was what do they call themselves? Polyamorous? Is that the right term? Like where he's like in multiple relationships. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
interesting. And he's like, you could look at it as just having, a nice friend who's like, a sex partner to kind of get you through the dry times or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I, explored that with him, but ultimately I just felt like it didn't fit me. Just what I wanted a deeper relationship than that, even though I think there's nothing wrong with that at all.
I think the only real crime with me and my that phase of my life was it ended later than it should have. I got to the point where I knew it wasn't satisfying anymore, and I kept going back to the well. I kept hoping like maybe this is what'll make me feel good, and it never did.
Yeah, it feels kind of hollow.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's another good. We both seem to like our analogies, don't we?
We do. It's fun.
But another analogy that comes to my mind is, with dating and relationships and, hoping to find the right partner and all that is, kind of like a gardening one. And maybe this is cheesy and it sounds old, but, you can't make a flower grow and bloom faster than it's going to. So I think that's what I mean when I'm saying, you got to hold it a little bit loosely. That bloom. You got to fix the soil, which is getting your life right, and you got to plant the seed, and then kind of hope for the best. That the conditions are going to be right for it to bloom.
My favorite song of all time, number one on the list. No song is better than this to me. It's called "Money Right" by John Bellion, and it's all about the song. The lyrics go like, "8th grade, I feel depressed as shit," or 19, I'm feeling scared as hell. I'm dropping out of college. I'm doing this, and it's all about this. He's young and hasn't made it, and then he fast forward, now I'm 22. He's in 8th grade. Then fast forwards to being 22 and successful. Then 19, he's back to 19, and he's still scared he won't make it. And he's dropping out of college, and then he's 22, and now he's successful again. And it's a song about patience, and a song about how in the darkest moments when he was in 8th grade, feeling like an outcast, making music that no one liked, and then when he was 19 and still hadn't made it, like there were points in his life and his journey where it felt hopeless. And then if he'd just been able to know that at 22 he would have made it and been a millionaire who wrote Monster by Eminem, if he'd just been able to know that at that time, he would have been okay. But he had to learn patience. He had to learn that experience. And it's such a beautiful song about that process of understanding that and hoping and dreaming for this thing. And that's all a lot of dating for people is this dream. We want companionship.
Yeah, we do.
We want this thing, right?
We want a good partner. Yeah.
But you can't rush it.
No,
and you just have to take heart that you can have it. You just got to keep going. You just got to, my little brother Zane always said something to my dad. He would tell us, just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. And that's so hard. And ironic that he's the guy that killed himself, actually.
I know.
Who said that to us.
I know. Yeah.
But the message rings clear that you just got to keep going. And when you're dating and you've been on 15 first dates, maybe the 16th one is the right one. Maybe it's 43 and you got to go on fucking 43 first dates. But eventually you got to take heart and know that it'll work out.
I agree. I feel like in my journey, I was kind of near the end of what I felt like I was going to be able to tolerate. I was pretty discouraged.
Yeah.
And I think about how if I hadn't agreed to go on one more date, I would have not have met your dad. I mean, not to make it sound like too much of a Hollywood ending, but it kind of was,
You were on your last leg.
Yeah.
And maybe here's my belief about that, honestly. If you hadn't met my dad, say you hadn't gone on the date with my dad, maybe it's 6 more months. But at some point, I think you would have felt like, okay, I needed to grieve for a while. Like it comes in waves. You go on 5 dates.
I think you're right.
And then you're like, I'm so sick of this. Fuck. Like, and then you take a little break. And then eventually you're like, I still have this deep desire in my heart for companionship. Let's fucking be honest about it with me, Karyn. Like, if you hadn't met my dad, eventually you would have been to a place where like, I still want that deep in my heart. I'm going to go find it. You would have eventually.
No. I think that what you say is true. And I think I was just feeling discouraged at that point. Like, okay, I'm just going to give up. I mean, because I feel like it's so important to acknowledge that because I think a lot of times people kind of give up or give in and, take less than really what they deserve because they are just tired of doing the dating thing. Because it really is. It's kind of work,
And it's emotionally, it's so painful when, and because you are, not you, I mean, you like that, everybody, like me. Here's, how about me? I am so much, I want this thing. And like to not get it and to be disappointed. It's disappointing to go on a first date and be like, that didn't work. And you try not to, like you try not to get too attached. But honestly, like it is still, it's disappointing. And it's discouraging and you're like, oh man, I'm so tired of this not working out.
But I think you're right. I don't think I would have completely given up probably ever, to be honest.
You would have taken a break.
I would have taken a break again, yeah. But at the point, I just want to say that's how I was feeling. Like, this. And I was actually kind of philosophical about it. I was like, well, maybe I'm just not meant to have that kind of romantic love in this life. But my life is still good. I know it sounds kind of pathetic. That's like what I was writing to my friend Sherilyn in an email.
But you were happy. I mean, that's why I think you and my dad work so well. Is if my dad disappeared tomorrow, like you ever watch the Avengers movie and like they like disappear into thin air?
Yeah.
If my dad does that tomorrow, you're still okay. And you're not like you're obviously you're devastated, but your life would continue.
Yes.
If you never met my dad.
Yeah. Same for him.
You don't desperately need each other.
We do not.
But you really enjoy it. And it
very much.
It's so cool though. It's so cool that especially my dad. My dad and I were in Cincinnati, Ohio. And we're actually nowhere in Kentucky because we're in the airport.
That's right.
The Cincinnati airport, by the way, is in Kentucky. What the fuck? It's so weird. Anyway, we're in the Kentucky airport. My dad goes, I can't wait to see Karyn.
Aww.
And it was sweet. It wasn't desperate. It was just very sweet. He's like, I miss my wife.
Yeah.
I miss my companion. I miss my best friend. It's like, oh, man, I fucking want that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is good.
So anything else? I mean, dating it's a skill and it takes time. It takes practice.
There's no magic. That was the other thing I wanted to say was you had asked me at one point, well, what dating site did you use? And, I brushed you off because I really think that that's kind of a misconception. And I think there's like a huge industry actually in this. And people saying, oh, well, this is the secret. This is how you're going to find your partner. This is how you're going to find the love of your life. You need to be on this site.
With this strategy,
you need to look this way. You need to lose 10 pounds. You need whatever. You need to wear this outfit. You need to be in this kind of lighting. I don't know what. But really there is no secret. There's no magic. It's a numbers game. You got to meet a lot of people and you have to be straight with yourself.
And to be yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't. That's one of the biggest problems is when, and really probably why my last relationship failed is that I was so, I was compromising way too much of myself to make it work.
Yep.
Right. And that's exhausting when you're in a relationship and you're not being fully yourself and you're not owning like, I'm an introvert who likes to hike and loves football and wearing the same shirt every day. Like, that's okay. But you have to own that.
It is. You have to know that about yourself before you can even own it, right?
Yeah. And you have to love that about yourself because if you are uncomfortable with who you are, how can someone else love you? I mean, like you're like sitting there hoping like, fuck, I hate myself, but maybe this person will like me. Like, no, that's not good at all.
Well, that's dating for external validation, which I think a lot of people do. Right?
You have to. Your self-worth has to come from a good place. It has to come from your internal sense of this. This is it right here. This is why you feel such a calming presence in me and my dad's life. Your sense of self-worth doesn't come from my dad's approval. It doesn't come from my approval. You like yourself.
Yep. And
you're comfortable with that and secure with that. That's fucking my dad and I for like the entire time we've known you have had this thing like Karyn has this peaceful presence. I finally can put it to words. It's that. Is you're extremely confident and comfortable with who you are.
Yeah. I mean, that's not to say that I don't have stuff that I want to work on.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference too. I mean, it's okay if people have areas where they can grow. I mean, ideally you're going to have a partner that's going to sort of be a mirror and help you with that.
Yeah. That's a big step for me was realizing like, oh, I don't need to find someone who's perfect. I just want to find someone who is headed in the direction of getting better and healthy and who likes himself.
Yes, I agree.
It's huge.
And that was another thing that your dad and I really connected on is that I think we both, not only were we introspective, which in retrospect, I don't think I could date ever again anyone that didn't have that trait, but even though I did in the past, another it's like stop sign to run over, but your dad and I both we're both invested in that separately but also together now, in that we want to keep growing and learning and being better people, and we help each other with that.
I think dating, but life just in general is so much. In video games, there's a thing called an RPG where you have your character and you upgrade your character's skill tree. And you slowly get better and better, and you start at level 1, and by the time you're done, you're like, say at level 50. And in video games, when you fight someone at level 40, you have to be at level 40. You can't at level 1 fight someone who's level 40. And dating is the same way, and a lot of life is the same way. Like you level up in life. When I look at Strong Opinion Sports, my fucking very first episode is awful. It's unlistenable, but I leave it up because I own it. It's the past. Yeah. But I would never again make a video that bad because I've grown as a person.
Yep.
And the past is the past, but like you have to look at life and dating and just everything is you're slowly leveling yourself up. You said you'll never again date someone if you ever had to. Probably won't ever have to, but if you had to, you'd never again date someone who wasn't introspective.
Right.
That's part of the leveling up process. That's part of improving as a person. You've now learned I have the skill in my arsenal that I'm not I'm never going to lose. And
I'm
if you
not
look at
gonna
life that way,
compromise. Yeah.
as it's a skill tree and you're slowly getting better and learning about life, and that to me, when I learned that about life, gave me a ton of peace. Oh, it's just
Yeah.
about leveling up in life.
Yeah. We're all works in progress.
Yeah. Karen, do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
It's been a fucking great day. I don't know. It's been so much fun. We're not on camera. I can be ugly. It's so much greatness. No. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. It's been so much fun. Thank you guys for listening to Flawed. This is not Flawed Human. What is this called? This is a Desperately Dating podcast. I'm a mess.
It's
Beautiful,
okay,
wonderful.
but nobody can see it.
Not yet. I'm recording Strong Opinion Sports later.
Okay.
Guys, my name is Zach Shomler. Thank you so very much for tuning in. This has been the Desperately Dating Podcast, Episode 6. I've been Zach Shomler. That has been Karyn Shomler, my wonderful and wise stepmom. Thank you so much, and have a great day.